Alright, we should be up and live here if everything's working correctly. And it is! Awesome! Okay, so we are live.
Nice.
Hello, people of LBL and other watchers. Um, as you can tell, this is usually a different start. Usually our illustrious leader Drex is here to give introductions. Uh, he is in bed central right now. He is not feeling well, so he will. Yeah, there he is. There he is. I am die.
There he is, right there.
So we will be taking over today. It is I, Icarus, and the beautiful, amazing Ten Forward.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll try to stay traditional here and everything. We'll start with who we are. So hello, I am Icarus Wolf. I am the combat division lead for LBL. We do a lot of ground combat, air combat, and vital support for the medical team, transporting, and anything to do with guns and kaboom. That is us. That will toss the torch over to 10.
Yep, hello, I am the wonderful 10 Forward. I am the Exploration and Sciences Division Lead, at the moment focusing mostly on medical gameplay, as well as supporting our other divisions such as combat or logistics. Pretty simple, I guess, to start out with there.
Alrighty. And as for going over the news this week, obviously this weekend here we got a new version for 3.22a, they're calling it.
3.22.0a, so not quite
okay.
a full, not quite a full, dot something patch.
We're getting like 20 decimals at some point here with their updates. But I know this update did bring some pretty good fixes. I know we did some Siege of Orison, which, by the way, Siege of Orison is up. It's actually working relatively well.
Yeah, a lot better than the last time, I would say, or at least the last time I played a couple of rotations ago.
Yeah, it wasn't even possible to. The first platform wasn't even doable, and we were able to get to the admin, but when I say we were able to get to the admin, we were limping back trying to get healing because man, the new AI on the fresh servers, they are no joke.
Yeah, they are scary. And this is before even the FPS changes we'll be discussing today. This is just some minor tweaks, and I know I ended up with multiple tier. I know it was a tier 1 injury and multiple tier 2s, and another member of our group with multiple tier 2 and 3s, and the AI were not playing around.
Honestly, it was cool. It was nice not walking through, mowing them down, and you're practically falling asleep while you're playing. You had to be alert and ready.
Yeah, no, it was. I much prefer this more challenging gameplay. And to answer Drex's question in chat, no success. It just we didn't make it.
No,
We tried.
Also, passing side note for people playing: do not jump on the ships until you can go to the admin center. You will trespass, and it will be bad. That's what happened to us.
Yeah, our lovely potato jacked us a Hercules C2, and we attempted to fly in to another platform, and immediately got hit with trespassing because we weren't following the Crusader Securities guidelines.
And they were not happy with us. We can confirm the new turrets are very powerful.
Yes, that's another lovely little change, is the turrets are much more accurate, have more health, and do more damage. And none of that is a lie. You don't outfly the turrets anymore, they just outshoot you.
Yeah, they are definitely a threat now, which we will see how that holds up in the future here.
Right. We were playing on to give, a little bit here now. We were playing on a pretty fresh server with very few people. So the server load wasn't too bad. So maybe that can also be a factor there. But I mean, even still, it was it was different. You could just
Yeah.
feel it. It was different.
Uh, Otherwise, for the bug fixes, it's really just a lot of small ones. It looks like. It looks like there's some tractor beam issues that were fixed. Um,
I know.
I do believe they finally fixed the FPS mission elevators not working for bunkers. So that should finally be up and running again.
Yeah, for
Um,
those who love to, grind bunkers for whatever reason.
One that I'm very happy to see is they did fix weapon holstering. So it's no longer doing a thing where it's like, you pull it out or you try to go to a medical gun or a pen and it keeps like flopping between them. That does seem to be fixed.
Which is lovely to see because nothing crazy, but even little quality of life changes and just make the game feel much better.
Oh, and actually here's a very big fix that I know was plaguing people. The Mercury Star Runner AI and the bounties will no longer spawn as civilians
Yep. So you don't get the lovely, murder charges.
for doing your job. Uh,
Um, Another, probably the biggest piece of news for this week is for the Siege of Orison event and for gameplay over the weekend. Replication layer is live and it is functioning.
yeah,
So yet another major step towards um, full server meshing, having the one of the first stages of it in and working.
yeah. So that's good stuff. I'm excited about the replication layer. That's so cool.
Very excited. I know personally, I haven't experienced it yet, but I know one of our members was talking about it earlier. Said that it worked perfectly fine for them. It took a minute for it to settle out, but it just right back where it was, which is the whole goal of that. When stuff hits the fan, you don't lose everything.
Yeah, that has been one of the biggest turnoffs for people for the game for so long, and even myself, it sucks having the game crash and then losing all your progress or what you're doing. So this is a very very big change.
100%. I know with like what we talked about last week, where death should have consequences. When it's when the death comes about because the game itself just die,
Mm,
that shouldn't
yeah.
really that shouldn't reflect on you. And to see that that is being fixed where that isn't is lovely.
Oh my god, it is. Okay, so pulling us back here because this actually goes back to the whole Siege of Orson topic right now. Finally, we got to try out more of the FPS changes and the medical gameplay. Now, not all the changes are in yet from Citizen Con, but a lot of the weapon archetypes have been changed, how they function, how they act, recoil changes have been put in, and the new health and injury tiering system does seem to be in. And man, did we
Right.
experience it.
It it is something. I think the biggest things was my biggest takeaway from it, which kind of like I talked about earlier, is just when you get shot, and those AI can aim very well. And so it's interesting to see that the FPS gameplay in that sense is being boosted, but also I had a lot more fun last night shooting back than I ever have. Or was it last
Hmm.
night that we did Siege of Orson, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot more fun shooting back. I know there was an instance where um I had an elevator door open up and a bunch of nine tails were inside. And I let loose with the FS9 I had, and it, it it felt so much better on my end. And I wish I could explain. I don't think it's any like major things that they're changing, but a lot of little things, like I was saying earlier, kind of build up to nice little quality of life changes.
Oh,
It definitely
100%.
it felt nice.
It was honestly really really good. And I think that's one of the biggest things is so what I had noticed when I was playing, the weapon recoil changes to like especially like the Demco LMG and the FS9, those are no longer just, you can't just beam someone from across the map. Up close, they are disgusting. At a distance, that is the first time I've actually felt the need to use the sniper rifle I had, and it felt good.
Right. I saw you last night. You were definitely putting some rounds down range with that rifle, which I thank you very much because that helped me. um, because I know a good few times I was getting sniped by enemy AI, and it was insane. So having you there to be able to cover me on that front was wonderful.
It's definitely a big far cry from what it was before, because now that weapon changes are partially in, I know one of the big ones was going to be recoil, which obviously has now been put in. It is amazing how different it is. And actually, the guns now feel like they serve a purpose versus, the custodian SMG just beats everything.
Right. The kind of like what I was saying, the SF9 feels like an actual LMG now. It feels dangerous.
Yeah, and
And
that was go ahead, go ahead.
I'll go. I was gonna say I know. I think it was Potato that brought it up last night. And I know this wasn't a very recent change, but still relatively recent. Was the Arclight pistol being moved to a 3 round burst standard,
Yeah,
which simple change for a very common handgun, but I love that.
yeah. No, I mean the arc light pistol is one of my favorites, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy some burst weapons, but in Star Citizen, I really like the semi-auto and full auto is the best. But man, they actually made the arc light pistol feel better with burst, which I'm shocked.
No, entirely. Uh, Drex ask any new I'm guessing animation changes to the FS9. Pretty sure the barrel is supposed to reciprocate. I didn't notice it most likely because I was getting my getting rocked from the enemy. I wasn't really paying attention, but could definitely take a look at it and just see. But that'd be really cool. Um, I know quite a few weapons are slated for some animation changes, and I mean, of course, when the big FPS stuff drops, you're getting different reload animations and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see that on the horizon.
And actually, it's pretty nice because I haven't had a chance to use the energy weapons since they updated them with the patch. The displays actually display the ammo now, and it's such a small change, but the immersion factor is really nice.
Right, and it's nice to be able to just quickly glance down at that and then back up to where you're going.
Exactly. And yeah, no, I mean, I I know from Citizen Con there's a lot more changes. We're going to be getting weapon jamming, weapon maintenance, cleaning, and all that. But as of right now, the weapon recoil changes, the archetype changes, making the arc light, pistol, semi, and burst. So far, everything that kind of had me worried about those, I've liked. I
Right.
actually really like the weapons, feeling they have a purpose. They're used for a certain thing. And it's not saying, you can't not use the SMGs at longer range. But if someone has, a rifle with a scope, they're probably going to beat you. Which
Oh,
it
100%.
that's how it should be. I genuinely feel like they finally have better balance.
Uh, Y'all notice they buffed the R97 big time. I haven't because I never use it because it was always bad. Um, that's definitely something we can look into. I mean, it's easy to pop into a server, grab a gun, and play around with it. Or even, in the Star Marine, can always do that.
Yeah, I haven't
Um,
touched the R97 in so long.
18 rounds of mag. Ooh. All right then.
Whew. I'm
Maybe
definitely gonna be checking it out next time.
let's say maybe at some point we should hop into Star Marine and play around with some of the guns and just see if we can actually pick out changes.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good idea. And
Let's see, up from like 8th, yeah, big change.
yeah, no, that's phew. I want to try that at some point now. Now, see, this I love these weapon changes. This is the stuff I've been waiting for.
Oh, I can imagine. It's definitely going to change and in some ways make better, in some ways make more difficult your entire sort of divisions thing. Especially like you were talking about, like with weapon jams and weapon maintenance. You know, it's you're gonna have to put some more love into those to
Yeah,
keep them going, which will be nice to see.
I know some people don't enjoy that stuff, but I think it's cool. I enjoy the realism, and it's not like they never made it sound like it's gonna be detrimental, but it's something you have to be self-aware of, which I think that's important.
I think that's one of the biggest distinctions between what Star Citizen is supposed to be and what Squadron 42 is supposed to be.
Hmm.
Is that Star Citizen is your sim. You're meant to have to manage quite a few things. I mean, already in the game, there's a pretty large or pretty steep learning curve because there's already a lot to manage with more on the way. That's what it's supposed to be. Whereas, like Squadron 42 is your more classic FPS shooter type game.
Yeah,
Um, I feel a lot of people kind of forget that, and so like with these changes coming, people don't like that. But that's sort of what Star Citizen was always meant to be.
yeah, it's supposed to be a full-on sim, and honestly, with what they're adding, it's really gonna be up to the player. It feels like to really give themselves the experience they want. Like, if you don't take care of your gun, if you don't, maintain it, clean it, whatever they're gonna be adding, yeah, it's gonna jam, and the only person to blame is yourself.
Right. For not taking care of it, not putting the time and effort into it. It's very much moving towards a you get out what you put in type of deal. And
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those type of games.
Well, it gives them longevity and depth and things to strive for and do versus the game holding your hand and skipping you through the flower field and then you're bored in 5 minutes because there's nothing left to do.
Right. Which I'm glad to see that coming.
Yeah, and actually that leads in to the next thing for you because now this is your domain, the medical gameplay. Big
Yep.
big changes that we saw when we were playing yesterday, and actually finally getting into some FPS combat. I felt the changes.
Yeah, I know like a lot of it's just like a lot of other stuff that's coming for the game. It's a lot of it still isn't there, but you can see the little inklings of it starting to be
Hmm.
seeded. Injuries mean something. um,
Oh yeah,
because even with when I started out with a tier 3 chest injury, it was enough that it impeded my movement. Um, and of course, it progressed to tier 2 and then tier 1. And needing to use the med gun not as your standard just heal up, but actually going into the manual side of it and adjusting drug levels for certain things helped to offset a lot of the issues. But of course, you've got the issue of your like what was dealing with last night, the blood drug level. It's like, okay, yeah,
yeah. That was
gotta
almost
balance
more
it.
deadly for you than the injuries sometimes because it was gonna KO you in the middle of a firefight.
Right. But without it, I can't do anything either. Did they ever add more med beds on the platforms? There were quite a few med beds,
Yeah, we
but they
were
were all,
felt like on every
I was gonna say,
platform we were able to find one.
yeah, pretty much. I don't think we were ever like without a med bed, but they are all tier 3 med beds. So they're good for your basic injuries, but once you get tier 2 or more, that's where like what we were dealing with last night,
Oh
either try
yeah.
and limp your way to the end or end up having to cut it short and go back.
And I think that was the biggest thing because it was weird with how things used to be in Star Citizen. Either the NPCs didn't hit you at all, and you could skip through and just kill them all, or you would suddenly get domed through the wall and you were just, incapacitated. Injuries weren't really a thing. Now, it's definitely, you can take hits, but man, you're gonna take some hits, you're gonna get an injury, then another injury, and now this one's worse, and now, your left your left arm's a tier 3, but your right leg is a tier 2, and it changes how you have to think about the fights and how you play because man, when they stacked up on us, it got ugly real quick.
I think that was probably my biggest issue. Was I went into Siege of Orison last night just not thinking about any changes and just like, oh, okay, just whatever. It's your normal Star Citizen FPS combat, but it's not.
Nope.
It is not. And so with the better shots they have and with the injuries and you, like you said, you gotta plan out those fights. You can't just run in like you used to be able to. I know you could go when you're doing bunker missions. You can just run in with no weapon and just incapacitate all the enemies and you're done. Not anymore.
Oh yeah, no,
uh,
100%.
Valk asks, "Do you think we will see AI using A1 and A2s to bomb us?"
I feel like.
In the do what?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say in the future, I could see some implementation of that. I don't think they want to add a lot of that on the AI side because that could. We know how the game can still be sometimes. I mean, with the Ghost Hollow stuff, it's supposed to spawn in just a couple of Cuddy Blacks, but you were getting 40 or 50. So I don't think they want to put too much in for the danger of I'd hate to be doing something and 20 AI A2 show up. Game
Yeah,
over.
I mean, in the future, when they get AI sorted out and they get the replication layers and all that stuff, like, I feel like once server side is more stable, we might see stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Because as nice as things are, and as much as we can keep talking about the changes and how things are good now, it's still in its, I don't want to say infancy, but it still has a good way to go before it's fully like cut and dried done.
Hmm. I mean, we're definitely getting a taste of like I want. I don't want to say the end because it's really not the end. It's really the beginning of Star Citizen being a full-fledged game. But we're starting to get a taste of some of that here, and I mean, again, the FPS combat was the most engaging it's ever been. Like, now I realize I need to use cover. I need to put something, solid between me and the enemy and actually cover, you know, my friends moving up because they're an actual threat.
Yeah, and then to throw a little bit more my way for the medical side, you need to. I mean, of course, like I said, the med guns do have their auto one and done feature, but you got to know what the drugs do and know how to balance stuff, and to really be a team medic, you got to prioritize as well because your heavy hitter guy, might be in a rough shape, but if you take him down, out of the equation by just drugging him, well, now you got dead. I don't mean to put it badly, but now you got dead weight to carry, and you're down a member.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
no, I mean, it, it's definitely interesting because you need to keep up the firefight with the enemies, but man, you need the breathing room to heal up as well. So actually playing medic and like you said, learning the drugs and what they do and what's right for the situation actually matters now. And, the weird thing about all these changes is it literally went from 0 to 100. It went from this doesn't really matter to dude, if you don't have your shit together, you're going down.
oh yeah, it hit like a ton of bricks, and we saw that last night, and I loved it.
Oh,
As
it was
as as bad as it was for our situation, I still loved it. It was some of the most fun I've had in a while playing this game.
the fact that I was grinning and having fun, the fact that we were, literally dragging our feet just to get back to try to heal was great because I was like, okay, like I got humbled. I learned my lesson. I can no longer just run in. I
Yeah,
actually got to think now. And I'm all for it.
so am I. It just adds a whole another level that personally I think is beautiful. and
I think
I
it was needed, I think.
it was, and I can't wait to see more changes coming in terms of PvP because Siege of Orison's great, but when you have things like Jump Town and Ghost Hollow, where
Mm.
it's there's still obviously ship to ship combat, but there's more PvP there as well. It's going to be
Yeah.
nice to see how those changes affect that.
Oh yeah. I mean, sadly, we didn't get to test out last night, but Siege of Orison finally has the Nine Tails sympathizers, where you can actually join them for the Siege of Orison instead. Which that was just weird to see, but it was really cool.
Right, yeah, but it's nice to see that you have that dedicated choice.
Mm.
Um, but also when you go and join Ninetales, it lights you up like a Christmas tree. It puts a target on your back. Literally, it says Ninetales sympathizer with a marker to your location. So have fun.
Yeah, and yeah, Valk, it is. We do have to start using squad tactics and room clearing. It was a different beast. There's no way to describe it because we're we all know what FPS Star Citizen has been like. It's different and it's great. Very, very welcome changes.
Do you want to kind of go down the list and go over some of the changes coming as well, in terms of like stuff that was announced at SitCon?
Yeah. So I know one of the points we were discussing here that, and again, it's such a well, not really a small feature, but maybe a pain to some, but something I'm excited about. I am very excited about weapon maintenance and jamming. I think
Yeah,
that's gonna be a key thing, and that to me that pushes into the whole I'll use air quotes Tarkov realm of taking care of your weapons and ammunition not ejecting correctly or like slide jamming. I will be honest, I was not expecting that for Star Citizen, but seeing it at CitizenCon, I, I'm I'm for it. I really am.
100%. It adds yet another aspect that you're going to have to think about in combat in terms
And
of how well did you take care of your weapon? Did you prep it before the mission, or didn't you? Is it going to fail on you halfway through, or are you going to make it out?
and it becomes a big pressing matter because if you're in the middle of a firefight and your weapon jams, that's gonna be. I couldn't think of anything worse, especially seeing how the fights go now. Your weapon jamming could be a life or death sentence, or not even necessarily life or death, but the difference between you getting no injuries and then obtaining a serious one, which could detriment you for the rest of your mission.
Right. And I mean, to kind of play off that, you've got the time to kill changes that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're seeing, obviously, like we've been talking about the AI on that side. They definitely hurt a lot more, but they're also making it so you can take more. They're
And
making, like we saw, the injuries mean more. You can take more
yeah.
injuries now. You're not dead after the first one, but they're going to have an effect on you. And I like that. It's good.
And as funny as it is, because in a sense, when you just would be in combat and die, there wasn't really consequence besides, boom, I'm respawning and, I have to get my stuff back. Now you have the, I made a mistake or, I didn't take care of my weapon and it jammed and now I got injured in this fight. You're 25% through your mission. That last 75% is going to be rough. You're limping, your gun's in worse condition. What are you going to do?
Right. And that's from the first brush with that. Was to say you don't take another similar hit later on. Well, now you're dealing with another tier up of injury that's going
Hmm.
to impede you even more.
Well, think what actually ended up happening when we, and yes, sadly, SBF, I don't think railgun running gun is gonna work anymore, buddy. You might be able to do it once, but you're gonna regret it.
I don't know. I feel like
But
SBF would still figure something out.
oh yeah, if anyone could, he can. But one of the things that happened last night when we were working our way up there, I actually got to the point where my arm got injured so badly I couldn't use my gun. I had to use the pistol. So the
Which,
bigger weapons I actually couldn't use because of the arm injuries, and that was, you know, I'm sure that's what happened before. You know, you didn't really ever get to experience it. Now I was like, oh man, if we get into a serious firefight, the sidearms are good, but when you're limping and you're slow and you have, heavy coming on you and two lights, I don't know if a handgun's really going to help me right now.
no, yeah, and where I was also limping, but absolutely, you know, drugged out of my mind, trying to stay alive. I wasn't too much help because aiming isn't too easy when you're swaying constantly.
To be fair,
So
you did get some kills doing that, which was great. That was impressive.
I did. I want to give that more to the fact that the FS9 has a big mag, and I have a lot of opportunities to miss.
Fair enough.
But it was definitely interesting, and all for it to end with us getting into Pisces to try and escape, and the AI turrets just not even giving us a chance.
We we stepped foot on it and just gone.
It was crazy. That like I said earlier, some of the most fun I've had in a long time.
Oh yeah. And also going off some of the other FPS changes, I do know because we saw it in Squadron 42. I'm not sure if it's gonna be transferring over to the persistent universe, but it did seem like takedowns were actually going to have some skill to them or like leveling to them of how well you do it. But also on top of that, we is the restraining feature as well.
Yes, and I can't. I don't want to say I know for a fact because everything changes in this game all the time. But we're pretty. It's pretty well known that there will be more to that sort of bounty hunter policing style gameplay, where
Mm.
right now it's find target, kill target, end of story. But you have ships with built-in brigs, and then with that whole restraint system, you're going to see more of the all right, subdue the target and bring them in versus just run and gun.
And my other thought on that is maybe they give you the option to kill or bring it alive, but giving a high incentive bonus for bringing in targets alive would definitely make a lot of people, you know, change their ideas of how they go about things.
I know there used to be a like old west cowboy game I used to play back in the like PS3 days.
Yeah.
I think it was called Gun. I don't remember what it was called, but it had that bounty system, but it had the dead or alive thing where if you want to take the easy way, you go in and gun them down, bring their bodies in, and get paid. Or if you capture them, the bounty was almost double. And so there's that high incentive of it's that balance of risk versus reward. Do you take the easy way out, go in guns blazing, and just take care of business quick, or do you risk your own safety? But if you can subdue them and bring them in, that's a much higher payout.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, the idea of soft deathing a ship, having it crash on the surface, and then getting out and going in the ship and raiding it to get them is that just sounds awesome to me.
That, or your more classic, like soft death a ship and then have to send over a boarding party
Hmm.
to fight through the corridors of the ship.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that, the prospect of that becoming a thing in the game is wonderful.
FPS combat on some of these bigger ships would be really cool to see.
Well, I know it's kind of talked about how the Gemini, is it the Starfarer? how it's a maze of a ship, but
Hmm.
it was originally an FPS map. So you've got basically a flying FPS map in that sense, but also look at the hammerhead. You can board
Yeah.
it through your front hatch, but you've got long hallways, places where people can hide out and you can ambush. Same with like the Carrack and other things. Like bringing FPS combat into a ship is going to be fantastic.
Oh yeah. 100%. It's gonna be a really cool thing to see and experience.
Could also break
Let's.
down to. Oh, sorry. If you want to go ahead, we can
No.
move on.
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it also breaks down to like personal knowledge, like how well do you know these ships? Because let's say you're doing
Oh
something on an
yeah.
890. Someone who's only been on an 890 a few times, they're gonna get lost. I still get lost in those ships. It's huge. But someone who frequently is inside of one, they're gonna know every little nook and cranny and where they need to go.
Do you
So
imagine things like the MSR with the secret compartments? That's gonna
that
be cool.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be real fun.
Let's see. I'm just trying to think of the other FPS changes they mentioned. I'm going
I know
through
they
them, but
mentioned
what?
I was gonna say I know they mentioned changes for armor and doing like tier progressions,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah,
you can improve armor and get higher tier stuff, basically, versus just pick up light, pick up medium, pick up heavy.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely gonna be an interesting change. I feel like that's gonna be the same effect in the sense of putting armor on ships. Is I don't necessarily know if there is gonna be a quote unquote meta for that, but I'm really curious to see how they're gonna balance that. Because if you can make medium armor have the same defense as heavy, but keep moving the same speed, it's gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah, and that's also going to allow, because I'm reading here, it's also going to allow for specializing armor to protect against things like radiation or fire, or ones that protect very well against cold instead of having to grab Novikov, stuff like that.
Yeah. No, that actually might bring a purpose to, owning multiple sets of armor besides, you die, you have to go pick up more. Getting armor and specializing it and outfitting it to certain things will be really big change, but also give meaning to, hoarding gear and getting sets and finding which ones you actually like.
And it also puts a much higher premium on your own life because let's say you get a really, really good set of armor that you put a lot of work into, but you die because of a stupid mistake and you can't retrieve it. Well, now it's gone. Start back at
Yeah.
square one.
Yeah,
So yeah, it'll add even more to it.
man, that's gonna be rough. But again, it like you said, it brings value to your life playing the game. Which right now there's you just kind of throw your body at stuff and you go whatever. But
Right. It's
putting time in, putting effort in, even with guns and everything, like maintaining a weapon. Even we who knows, maybe we'll see weapon upgrades. Losing that would suck.
I would love to see something like that where you can get the base level weapon. Like right now, you can add different sights and different underbarrel attachments and whatever. But being able to fully customize and tune that weapon for yourself, eh, that's going to be fantastic if we end up seeing that.
Yeah.
And to kind of play off what Potato said there, he asking about insurance. Well, to my
Honestly,
knowledge, I haven't seen,
I would
but
really, really like to see us be able to buy insurance for like our gear in game with credits because the only thing you could really spend credits on right now is ships.
yeah,
Like
ships
that's
and
that's the biggest
junk.
purchase. Yeah.
But I would love to see that where you can say you have a set of armor and you get it, set up just like you want. You could take out some form of, I guess, insurance policy on it where you pay a certain amount, and if you do lose it, you either get reimbursed the uh, projected value of the armor, or you just get another set of that. But at the end of the day, it still costs you credits.
Yeah. Oh, I think that would be a welcome change, actually.
Because we all know that's coming for ships. I mean,
Hmm.
they sell lifetime insurance tokens. That's like one of the biggest things with CCU game and trading around ships is the lifetime insurance. So it's
Yeah,
coming for ships. It'll probably be coming for other things as well.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. So
Let's see.
I'm gonna flip you over here a little bit, actually, and
Oh,
for the FPS changes here, what are some things you have seen that you do not like?
things that I don't like. Well, one that I did experience last night, but I think will will be better once another change is implemented, is the fact that the AI have amazing aim, but I can't see them. They're still, a good distance away, or they're obscured, and I just get domed out of nowhere with a
Yep.
with a shot, which I know happened a couple times last night. But I know that will be adjusted when they bring in the FPS radar scanning, where it'll help you
Yeah.
ping targets and stuff.
That was definitely something. I was having the same experience because I had some points when I was aiming down, the scope of the sniper and I can see them, but I was shooting and I my bullets didn't have the same properties. They weren't going through things. It kind of felt like, it didn't feel like desync, but it felt like the enemy AI like knew certain spots they could just sit and keep firing and we'd just be pelted and we couldn't do anything.
Right. Like the changes were nice because FPS combat needs to be more difficult. I think we all can agree there.
Oh yeah.
But I think the players also need something to help balance it. The combat should be difficult, but it should still be balanced.
Yeah.
And Siege of Orison at night, I I didn't see them until they were right on top of me, and I know that's how I ended up with a good few injuries. There was just I didn't see them, or at
Yeah.
one point I was near the beginning there. I was just walking, and there was a sniper on the other side of the platform that I just in the dark could not see. Got a headshot on me, and I went down immediately.
Yeah, and that's the thing is they could see us through the trees, the barricades, walls before you're even there. That was definitely a I would say a detriment to the AI upgrades, but again, I know it's new and it's not gonna be like that forever.
No, um, I think one more dislike, and once again something that in the future I know will be fixed with other things, and of course they still have to tune it. Is the AI turrets? I love that they're
Yeah.
more difficult now, but you just don't have a chance anymore.
Yeah.
So I know the Pisces we were in. Like I said, we stepped foot inside of it, and then it was immediately just up in smoke.
And like I know it's a Pisces. I know it doesn't have the strongest shields. But we couldn't we stepped foot in. That was it. It was just done.
Yeah. So it's cool to see those changes because once again, it makes things more difficult, which is great because you can't just strafe left and avoid the turrets anymore. But man, they hit hard.
Yeah. No, I think between their aim updates and the amount of firepower they have, it's great for some instances, like, defending, I would say, safe areas. And, I know big things, pad ramming and all that. Like, it's great that those will save people from that. But I think there needs to be a change to those effects in which area you're in. Because we haven't even tried it yet. I'm going to be interested to see how the ground bunkers work now.
Oh yeah, because beforehand, as long as you had a somewhat sturdy ship, you could just sit there and let them just soak up all the damage while you took out the turrets one at a time. That might not be
Hmm.
the case anymore. It could
Yeah.
really put a premium on parking 2K out and driving in, making ground vehicles more useful.
Well, the other side to that is their weapon range has been increased. The 2K won't work anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah, no,
never,
their range has been increased too.
never mind. Well, I mean, still, I ain't gonna park even further out and drive in,
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
that'll be interesting.
Or
What I
or I'm
do want to
hoping. Hoping parking behind a mountain or something will start working as well.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause there's plenty of instances where you can get right up next to a bunker and park behind a hill, but the turrets have always had this amazing ability to shoot through solid ground.
I want those
So,
guns.
right? So that change would be welcome. And whether I instigate it or am just there when it happens, I really want to see how Seraphim does with these new changes because when they built Seraphim, there's an auto turret, every other foot on that station.
Hmm.
Um, and when PO was there, it was always the big thing of, like I said, pad ramming and stuff because it was easy access and not very well defended. But Seraphim, if you fly by it and you look at all the turrets that ping up on your HUD, it is covered in turrets, and I want to see what they can do now.
Well, I'm hoping the stations could actually be defended from, and again, I PvP can happen anytime, anywhere. I'm not a fan of people saying, "Oh, this doesn't belong," or pirate activity doesn't belong. It does. But
Yeah,
smashing someone in their own hangar when they're just flying out, and then being able to fly around the station loop de loop and like kill 5 more people and have nothing happen doesn't seem right.
no, I know. One of the biggest things is you got groups of people who will blockade stations, which that's fine. Once, like you're saying, it's part of the gameplay. It can happen, but there's like no repercussion for it because, or well, there wasn't. Now there may be, but beforehand there wasn't because I mean the station defenses weren't really anything. It was up to the players on the server to fight back. Which sure, that's also part of it. I know CIG wants that. They want that player interaction, but when you have a planetary station like Everest Harbor or Seraphim or something like that, that's a planetary station. That should have whatever planetary defense force or the UEE Navy. That should be a pretty quick response, but
Hmm.
it just never has been.
Yeah.
That might be changed.
It's a slippery slope, and I know it is because it could get to the point where, okay, I do love the idea of someone's chasing someone down for their cargo. They finally get to the station. Doesn't necessarily mean they're safe, but I also don't agree with someone sitting at the station with a freaking arrow somehow killing everyone, and the turrets are just non-existent.
Right. That which I know the Armistice Zone, the way it's set up with the stations now is you can still, obviously kill people within that zone in your ship. You get the charges for it, but you can still do it. What I would like to see is an immediate response to that, whether that be with these station turrets or if you have, UEE Navy personnel stationed there or something where, like I said, they're being chased. Getting to that station isn't necessarily safety because they can still be, shot at, they can still be damaged or killed. But that pursuing ship is going to have to fight like hell to actually get to them.
What Something that I just thought of. So we have the wanted levels, obviously. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and all that.
Yeah.
What the response should become more drastic depending on that level. Say you're at maximum crime stat and you've killed a bunch of players. Yeah, I want to see hammerheads and F8s popping in.
Right.
That should be a oh shit moment for them.
Or if you mess up bad enough, all of a sudden you got the UEE Warhammer, the whole ass javelin just jumping in right beside you.
That'd be overkill, but that'd be awesome.
It'd be great. I don't remember if you've ever played No Man's Sky. I know I've played way too much of it, and a lot of other people in the group have. But when you're facing the Sentinels, you have that sort of progression. The
Hmm.
more aggressive you are, the more Sentinels you kill, they send bigger and bigger stuff until eventually they send in, the Sentinel capital ships to deal with you. That's the kind of thing I would like to see with Star Citizen. Kind of like what you were saying is
Yeah.
you do enough and all of a sudden you've got, a Navy Hammerhead and F8s pop in It's like, okay, now what are you
No,
going to do, kind of thing.
I don't necessarily think, they should send like an Idris or a Javelin, but it should be to the point of like, there's enough scary AI here where if a player or two came in and joined the fight, you're gonna be in serious trouble.
Yeah, yeah, more of a like carry a big stick kind of attitude. Like make it
Mm,
so undesirable that your average, you know, person in that scenario just doesn't see the reward for the risk. But it
mm.
still should be doable,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be easily doable.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're playing and you want to be a pirate, that's you can do that. I love that you can do that if that's actually what you feel like doing. But you know, if you go to the same place and you keep stealing stuff from them, and you're shooting people in there and you're skipping through the store, it's there's gonna be not a zero response like we've had. There needs to be something to be like, okay, maybe I hit this place too much. I should probably chill for a bit.
Right. Go hide out on yellow or something. But don't
Yeah.
continue. Which, once again, looking to the future of the game, and when I say future, I mean in a couple years.
It's
Um,
so weird. It's so weird to think about.
you're gonna have systems like that. Obviously, Stanton isn't a very heavily policed system, and then when we get Pyro, it's gonna be even less so. But
Yeah.
there's also systems out there that are the exact opposite, where you have a massive Navy presence around every planet, around every moon, around every station, and actions have a lot more consequences.
Yeah.
But you have places like Pyro where if you do mess up, you know, hit the jump point to Pyro, you've got a whole system to hide out. You're fine. But if you come back, they're waiting on you, kind of thing.
Yeah. It is such a finicky balance that you're talking about because you don't want someone to sit there and be completely invincible with no consequence, but they by all means they have every right to do illegal activity in the game.
Yeah, it's part of the game,
Yeah,
and
I would hate to
I think
not see it happen. It would actually kind of suck.
right because it's an entire part of the game. It's what makes the game so fun is that you can do any of these things,
Yeah.
you know. And I think we'll 100% see that scale when we do get other systems because right now it's Stanton, four
Hmm.
planets and a couple of moons. It's already a relatively large space, but when we have multiple systems, we'll see that scale even further, and I'm excited to see that.
Oh yeah. No, it's gonna be interesting, like you said, having Pyro open up here. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Really, within the next few months. But a system that's completely lawless is going to be interesting, to say the least. I have no idea what's going to happen there with that. I'm really
Right.
excited for it.
Like I like to dabble in many aspects of the game, even the more illegal side and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to take that from what we have now in Stanton to, like you said, it's a completely lawless system where it's like it's frontier justice.
Well,
That's going to be fun.
and again, there is a flip side to that whole thing there, because, so you have someone messing with you and Stan and everything, they haven't necessarily done anything, but there's nothing that warrants a crime stat, or, you can't exactly just kill them. Pyro, someone pisses you off and you don't want them around, you can just do it. That's
Yeah,
done.
and it also opens up the opportunity on the flip side of that coin is you can have organizations or groups of people who take up the mantle of the law enforcement in Pyro, and so it's like they pick a specific area and they act as sort of like a volunteer planetary defense force trying to keep things civil,
Yeah.
which more gameplay loops. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something to look forward to. So
Not to
with
mention,
good, good.
but I was gonna say not to mention when you get into the prospect of base building and having to defend your homesteads, an entirely different thing.
Oh yeah, that's that comes down to personal security, but also planetary security. We don't obviously we don't have a lot of info on that yet, but it's gonna be interesting to see what the different systems hold for base defenses and what you're allowed to do versus not.
Yeah, if I choose to build on a very high taxed planet, I expect to be taken care of.
So someone breaks into my house, I want an Idris orbital strike.
Right, immediately.
So with all these changes, everything in the FPS changes, the medical gameplay, what else do you think the future is going to hold for it?
In terms of like building on these changes we've seen, or just in general.
Yeah. In terms of the changes we see, obviously we're getting weapon jamming maintenance. I know the medical gameplay, know, we got a little bit here with this update, but they're adding the medical boxes and everything when hopefully we get freight elevators here soon with all that. But, it seems like the entire FPS genre of this game across the board is going to see big changes. And I'm curious to see, what do you think? What else do you think they're going to tack on to it here that we haven't seen?
As far as like tacking on, I'm sure we'll see even more micromanagement. Maybe not to
Hmm.
an insane level, but I think like gun jamming and maintenance is just the start of it. Where, say, for the medical side, maybe the medications and the drugs and stuff have like expirations, or if they get damaged or not usable. Maybe med beds can be damaged, or if you take enough like if you're in a Carrack and you take enough damage, your medical facility just goes offline, and so you just can't use it. So I think eventually that'll be one of the things that gets brought in. But I
Hmm.
think that just across the board, everybody's going to have to be on their A game because let's just say for LBL, let's look at the three divisions we have. With
Hmm.
you with combat, you're going to have to know your stuff and really hammer down on like I know Valk mentioned like squad tactics and stuff and training with that.
Yeah.
With the science side of things, the medical gameplay, we're gonna have to know our stuff and take care of our stuff and know exactly what we need to do, when to do it, prioritize combat injuries and things like that. And then with logistics, which I mean, supplying both of those divisions with things, procuring things like I got a feeling that's going to become more important as well, especially with I know the trading routes are being changed. There's no more this location always has X amount of this and X amount of this, and now it's randomized. That means that the logistics division is going to have to keep up with the changes and make sure
Yeah.
they know what's where to acquire it quickly.
Honestly, what I'm really hoping to see in the future with some of these changes, I'm hoping to see improvisation. So obviously, we're getting weapon jams, and everything, and say things fall apart, your guns not functioning correctly. I think it'd be cool, For example, we have the P6 sniper. It's semi-auto. Say it gets damaged enough, or it's so poorly maintained, turn it into a bolt action, where when you fire, you have to sit there and pull that slide to get the ammo out, completely changing, from what it is. But now you have to add a whole extra step just to be able to use the thing because you didn't want to take care of it.
Right? Yeah, like you said, improvisation, some sort of just when you're in the field, make it work kind of deal.
Yeah.
Um, and which we saw kind of a little bit of that last night for in terms of the medical stuff. Not having the proper facilities to address a lot of the injuries, had to make do pumping the players full of drugs to counteract certain things. They have a negative effect, but you're able to make it work in the moment.
Yeah, it was really a step by step of heal yourself enough just to get over here to safety, and then you have to take a breather and let your blood drug level come down so you can get to the next checkpoint. It's again, it's not just walk. We'll call it walking simulator where you press W and hold the trigger and you're good. Like, nope, mistakes were made. Now there's a consequence. What do you do?
Right. And I'm excited to see that in every aspect of the game where, you know, once again, bringing it back, that improvisation. What do you do in this moment? You're up the creek without a paddle. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, so that's the big thing I'm hoping for with FPS, and hopefully bleeds into other aspects of the game. Is hey, this could go wrong, but here's some options you can do to maybe help yourself out.
Right. And like seeing like one of the big things that's coming is the whole engineering side of things. As a massive Star Trek fan, I really want to see those like Scotty moments of this part of the ship's damaged, but we can reroute stuff through here and make this change, and it might work or it might kill us all, but we can
Yeah,
if it works, we can get back. Like I want to see those moments.
and again, it really seems like they're coming, which is man, this is gonna be a good year. I'm excited for to see all these changes and actually get our hands on them and see what they feel like.
Right. It's going to be a good year. I know some people have already expressed concern that we're almost all the way through January with very little happening, but like, we, you know, I didn't expect them to drop everything from SitCon day one. It's still
Yeah,
going to take some time. They're still working on stuff, but I feel like by middle of the year we're going to start seeing a lot of the stuff ramp up.
yeah. Even the next few months here, because I mean, even this recent patch here fixed a lot, and the game feels like we had a 30 FPS server when we jumped in that siege mission yesterday. I have never seen that.
Right, we had a server. It was fresh, not a lot of people on it, but it was stable from the get go, and it
And
made life so much easier.
even when people did get on, it was still incredibly stable.
I loved seeing it, and one of the things I've noticed about this game, it's all dominoes. Once one of them starts to fall, everything else comes in place. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
like I said, the first couple of months this year we're going to be slow, but I think once a lot of those things fall, or start to fall, we're going to see everything ramp up, and then by year's end, a lot of stuff will have fallen into place.
There's a lot to look forward to here, and I feel like you said, once the first domino falls, we're not gonna be ready.
No, because we talked about some FPS and medical gameplay changes, but that's a footnote for the 2 days worth of stuff they talked about this year, last year at SitCon,
Oh yeah.
with all the stuff we're going to be getting. Because I'm just skimming through it now, and man, it just oh,
There's
if
so much to there's so much to take
if
in.
he if even a quarter of this stuff makes it in, that's already an entirely different game than what we've been playing.
Yeah.
So,
All
but yeah,
right,
I'm
and
looking forward to it.
yeah, and to wrap up here, because I just realized we already hit the our 1 hour mark. Anything else you have to add? Thoughts, opinions?
Um, Other than just the general excitement for what the year holds, not really. I know there's infinite amount of stuff that we can sit here and discuss, but as far as what I can sum it up, this year's going to be great. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for all the bugs and all the server crashes that come along with it as well. Because in the end, it'll be worth it.
Oh yeah, 100%. So not to throw you under the bus here or anything. Hopefully for next week here we were bouncing between a couple topics here, but next week we are hoping to actually discuss the Zeus Mark One and leading into a ship that a lot of us are excited about, the Zeus Mark Two.
That
So,
sounds like a plan. I think that'll be a
oh,
very fun little segment.
because was reading up on it as well here, and the lore for the ships alone is so cool. It's so
It's
good.
wonderful.
So we have that to look forward to next weekend. And again, seriously, thank you everyone for watching, listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you have any ideas that you would like us to talk about, topics, discussions, please feel free to let us know. Because we have plenty to talk about, but man, there's some good topics we don't even think about when people mention them. It gives us a lot more to think about.
100%. And I don't think we're counting on this being a limited episode run podcast. So I'm more than happy to talk about stuff till we run out of stuff to talk about. So
Oh yeah, brother. All right.
all right then.
Well,
Well, we want to call it there.
sounds good. Thank you again, everyone, for watching, and we hope to see you next time.
Yep. Catch you all next week.
See ya.